স্টার্ট হয়ে গেছে রেকর্ডিং? ও এটা মেন ইয়েটাতে যাবো কি করে? ইউ এটাতে? হ্যাঁ এটা আপনি ফুল স্ক্রিন করা যাবে না? Okay. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how many of you are joined? Okay. So let's start today's lecture. In the previous class, we tried to compute this object. We have an expression for this object, and that is given by, apart from some normalization factor, I just keep it as n. So this is dq from 15 to p prime to prime, and then we have e to the power of so this was the amplitude in the presence of an external source J, and we have an expression of this form. And now we also know that we had defined in the previous lecture that this action in the presence of the source is S naught Qt plus integral T to T prime Jt Qt. So we have an expression of this form. Then we looked at this expression Q prime T prime Qt in the presence of external source. We inserted complete set of position eigenstates. And we mentioned we had a diagram. So this is minus infinity, this is plus infinity. Then we have this as capital T, this as capital T prime, and this is small t, this is small t prime. And we said that J of t, the external source, is non-zero only in this interval of time. And therefore, from T prime to capital T prime, from this propagator that we have over here, here this one, here there is no suffix j because this is in the from this point to this point, the source has been switched off. And similarly, from capital T to small t, here also there is no suffix j because the source has been switched off. It is only in the time interval t to t prime that the source is switched on. So that is what is encoded in this diagram. This is the time axis. And in the previous lecture, we had calculated expressions for this and expressions for this. And the expression for this, if you remember, the way to calculate this overlap is simple. We just need to put from this Heisenberg representation, you can write this as Q prime to the power of minus I by h bar Hamiltonian Q prime minus small t prime Q prime. So now from this Heisenberg representation, we have gone to the Schrodinger representation, and then you put a complete set of energy eigenkets. So let n be n denote energy eigenket. So what we do over here is we insert complete set of energy eigenkets, and this gives us Q prime. So here I can write this down as this Q prime m, and then I can write this as I by h bar Hamiltonian Q prime m Q prime. So that is what we have, and this was simple to calculate because this m is an energy eigenvalue of this. So this eigenvalues will go outside this matrix element, and we will land up with Q prime m, and then we will have m and n overlap. So that is delta mn, and then we have n with Q prime overlap. And then this is multiplied by e to the power of minus I by h bar. This will give us a EM. And now Kronecker delta, I don't write it explicitly because now I perform the Kronecker sum. So if you perform this, then this becomes M. The sum over n goes, and EM becomes common from here. So we get EM into T prime, capital T prime, small t prime. So this is the expression that we have for this overlap, and this you can write down as small m. This is basically the energy eigenfunction, Im of Q prime. So I remove this Kronecker delta from here, and this is phi star n of Q prime times exponential of this factor. So this is the expression. This is the expression for this overlap. And similarly, you can calculate. I told you to calculate this part in the previous lecture. So if you calculate this, you will get a similar expression like this. And now you substitute both these expressions in this. So if we do that, then we will have dq prime dq. To substitute this thing over here, so that will give us summation over m phi m Q prime phi m star small q prime exponential Okay, so this is this term. Then we have this. And then we have this expression. So now you have to just substitute the expression for this. This is simple. This will be a summation over n. You will have phi n. See here q prime was on the left, so you had q prime over here. And similarly, therefore, for this expression you will have phi n of q. Because q is on the left. Then you will have phi n star capital Q, and then this will be multiplied by e to the power of minus I by h bar energy En, and here you had t prime minus t, small t prime, so here it is small t minus capital T. So this is the final expression. After substituting these overlaps, this one and this one here. Okay. You can write it by in a simpler form by taking the summations outside and write it in a nice form. You can do it, but we shall not do it at this moment. What we shall now do is the following. What we shall now do is, you see, you have this time axis, and what we shall do is we shall rotate this time axis in this way. Then this angle is delta. So rotating this time axis would mean that t prime, and you would want to take this limit also, infinity e to the power of minus I delta, and t goes to minus infinity e to the power of minus I delta, when delta is less than or equal to pi by 2. So what this means is that we have rotated the time axis by an angle delta, so this angle is also delta, and we have then rotated in such a way, and we have then taken the limit t prime going to infinity and t going to minus infinity times this factor. And the rotation in this way has been done in order to isolate the ground state. Our aim now is to isolate the ground state. So if you do that, you'll see the following. Look at this expression. So we have this expression, and now we want to take this limit, t prime going to this and t going to this. So if you take that limit of this expression, look at this expression first. See, this is En times capital T prime, and we have a minus I over here, minus I by h bar, but this minus I is important. So this capital T prime, this is infinity e to the power of minus I delta, right? E to the power of minus I delta, I can expand it as cos delta minus I sin delta. So look at the sin delta term. You have a minus I in front, minus I and this minus I, so that gives you a minus, and therefore you have a minus infinity, right? Because t prime is very large, infinity into that. So what does that mean? This term, this phase term, exponential, this oscillatory term is now damped, is now suppressed due to the limit that we have taken here. It is suppressed. Therefore, the important thing is that we want to keep just the leading order term. What do I mean by that? See, the ground state energy by definition is the state with the lowest energy, with the minimum energy. All other energies that you have in this summation over n, all other energies are excited state energies, and therefore they are greater than the ground state energy. Okay. Therefore, suppose let us take for example E1. So e to the power of minus E1 into infinity will be smaller than e to the power of minus E0 into infinity. For the simple reason that E1 is greater than E0. And also for the same argument applies for the higher excited states also. So what will happen is that only the ground state energy will survive. The ground state term will survive. Excited terms will go to zero in this limit. So once this limit is taken, this expression simplifies to the following expression. Since only the m is equal to 0 term survives here, therefore we can just get rid of this sum and we can write this as phi naught q prime phi naught star small q prime exponential q prime q prime. So this is the first question.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we really say that 3 into infinite is greater than 2 into infinite?
Sorry?
Can we really say that 3 into infinite is greater than 2 into infinite? I
See,
mean, when
it is a tricky question because anything multiplied by infinity is always a tricky question.
so
But let me just complete. Then you can understand the argument. What I am saying is, you have exponential. Say one of the terms is like this: e to the power of. Forget about infinity. Don't think about infinity. Okay. So what I am saying is that you have t naught into some time, say capital T prime, and then you have another term E1 T prime, and so on, right? And what I'm only saying is that this is the same T prime that appears here. Okay?
yes.
So we have a summation over m over here. So for m is equal to 0, this will be the term.
Yes.
For m is equal to 1, this is the term. And so on. Right?
Yes.
What I'm only saying is that if T prime is very large, then all these terms will be smaller than this term. Okay?
Sir,
Because in
but
yes, please.
T prime is same for every case. So
Yes.
if we can neglect in the higher T prime order, we should also neglect in the lower T prime order also.
Good, good. But we don't want to do it. We want to keep the leading order term. That is the philosophy that we are following. We want to keep the leading order term. We will neglect all the higher order terms. We neglect all these terms compared to this term. You are correct that in the infinity limit this will also go to 0, but we want to keep it. Argument is, this is physics actually. This is how physicists work. This is the way physics works, and also the physical arguments are given by physicists. Okay, we want to keep this term. If we throw that term, then we will get nothing.
Yes.
We will get no result, but we don't want to get a null result, right? We want to get something. That is the main philosophy here. So here we are, see, you are correct that if you throw this term, you should also throw this term. But now you follow a philosophy. The philosophy is that all this in the this T prime limit, all these terms will be smaller than this term. So get rid of these terms. So this is a sort of approximation. In physics, we are always doing approximations, right?
Yes.
So this is the philosophy. Keep that philosophy in mind. You can throw this term out, but then you will have a null result. You will have nothing.
Sir,
Yes.
I don't understand the rotation of time axis to infinite to the power minus I delta and minus. I mean, can you please repeat this?
Yes, you have this thing. So you see, this is what? This is cos delta minus I sin delta, right? So if you put
No, sir,
this,
I am not saying that. I am saying that how can we rotate a axis like infinite to the power minus I delta? I mean, I choose T prime very large.
Yes, you can always choose t prime to be very large, right? So that is this limit. Forget about this part. That is this limit. If you choose t prime to be plus infinity, you can always take that limit. That is okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. If that is okay, now what you are doing is you are just rotating the axis and taking the infinity limit. So you are attaching a phase with the time. That is what you are doing. The physical motive of doing this is actually this. We want to isolate the ground state. This rotation is being done to isolate the ground state. That is the inner philosophy that we have in our mind. Otherwise, we will not be able to isolate the ground state. Okay. So let us continue from here. So you can imagine.
Sir.
Huh,
Sir, one more thing. So we are here considering an extra complex time direction.
not not extra complex time direction, but yes, you are basically rotating the time axis. So this is in the literature, it is sometimes called like wick rotation. Wick rotation. For example, I will give you a familiar example that maybe you are familiar with. You have learned special theory of relativity in undergraduate classes, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in special theory of relativity, what is the invariant line element that you have, which is invariant under Lorentz transformations?
Eta mu nu dx mu dx nu.
Correct. The eta mu nu. What do you mean by eta mu nu?
One.
It is a metric with having the Lorentzian signature, right?
Yes.
So Lorentzian signature means the time t has a sign which is opposite to the spatial directions. The time
Yes.
t has the same status as the spatial coordinates, but only the signature is different. Okay, so if you take dss square as minus dt square, then the spatial part will be plus dx square plus dy square plus dz square, and vice versa.
Yes.
Okay. Now what you can do is you can rotate the time axis. You can say that now I make a transformation t which goes to I tau. T is equal to I tau. Then what will happen? Then your dt square, that will change sign due to that imaginary I factor, and then your metric will become ds square is equal to d tau square plus dx square plus dy square plus dz square. So now you see you have a line element which is Euclidean,
Yes.
right? So you have just shifted, you have just made a transformation of the time coordinate to the imaginary time kind of thing. So in the literature, this kind of rotation of the time axis is sometimes known as wick rotation. Wick rotation.
Yes.
Okay. So the physical motive of doing this is that we want to isolate the ground state. That is why we do it. After doing it, you can take the limit delta going to 0. Once your job is done, then forget about that. You again rotate back. So it rotate it, take the limits, isolate the ground state, now come back. That is the philosophy. So now you have this from here, then you have this expression. It is good that you are asking questions. This tells me that you are not sleeping. Actually, I cannot see you, but it tells you that you are following the things and you are awake. That is good. So here also you are, see capital T, you take this limit minus infinity e to the power minus I delta, and you will be able to see that in this limit, once again by the same argument, it isolates the ground state. Therefore, only n is equal to 0 term will survive, or rather we keep that term. This becomes phi naught q, phi naught star q, and then we have e to the power of minus I by h bar is 0 minus capital T. So by imposing this limit, this expression boils down to this following expression, where you see that there are the excited energy states are no longer there. E1, E2, those terms are no longer there. You only have the ground state energy in this limit. Okay. We can simplify that further. You can write this as, you can see that this term, this energy eigenfunction is a function of q prime. So this you can take outside the integral, because this is integration over small q and small q prime. Therefore, I take it outside phi naught q prime. Then I have phi naught star q. So this thing, this term and this term goes outside the integral. Then we also have e to the power of minus I by h bar E0 t prime, capital T prime, minus capital T. So that also you can take it outside the integral, because this is the ground state energy independent of q and q prime. This is obviously a constant number, and this is the final. These are the final times, the initial time and the final time, right? So you can take it outside the q integral, small q prime integral, and then inside the integral we have the following expression: dq prime dq. We have phi naught star q prime, but phi naught star q prime is multiplied by e to the power of I by h bar E naught t prime. So that you can combine it again and write it as phi naught star q prime t prime. So what I've done is I've combined this expression with this expression and made it a function of t prime, the energy eigenfunction. And similarly, you can do the same thing for this term and this term. And in between we have this term, t prime, j phi naught. And now we are almost done. So we have, you remember the earlier expression. So this object is basically equal to this object. And now we just rewrite it in a different form. So you just divide this factor by this factor. See, all these things are basically numbers. Phi naught q exponential that is equal to this. So this expression is equal to this expression, and we must remember that we have taken these limits, this and this. So in this limit we see that this object is basically equal to this object divided by some numerical factor, which you can just dump it in some constant a, say. Okay. So what is the lesson that we have learned from this exercise? The lesson that we have learned from this exercise is the following. You can see that so this object is up to some constant is basically equal to this object. Okay, in this limit. in this limit, and as I said, once you isolate the ground state, now again you take the delta going to zero limit and you come back. But you see that this expression has a physical meaning. What is the physical meaning of this expression? This is the ground state expectation value of this transition amplitude. Just look at this expression. This is the transition amplitude, and you have a phi naught star here, which is the ground state wave function, and you have a phi naught over here, which is also the ground state wave function. So this is basically the ground state expectation value of this object, and this we denote it as something called Z. Ground state expectation value of this object, of this transition amplitude, in the presence of the external source. This is very important, and this we denote it like this, Z of j. And you can say that this Z of j is something like this: 0 plus infinity, 0 minus infinity. Minus infinity plus infinity, you can understand, these are the time limits, and this is the ground state. So this is the ground state expectation value of this transition amplitude in the presence of an external source. And this, we call it to be Zj. And what is this expression equal to? This expression is basically, I denote it as Zj, and Zj is equal to some, this is some numerical factor, so this is equal to some number times this factor. So what we have ultimately, and also this Zj is basically a functional of j. So this is called the vacuum functional. Vacuum functional. Okay. What is this Z of j? This Z of j by definition is this object, and this is equal to, we have just now proved that this is equal to this thing apart from some numerical factor. So I put some number, some constant n, and then I take this object. I know this is the object that we started with. This is basically d, q. What are the limits? T and t prime, they are now from minus infinity to plus infinity. I will no longer put the limits here, because now the n times are, I know that these are basically minus infinity to plus infinity. So I forget about it, but you can write it also. What you can do is you can just put qt, q prime, and then you have 2 to the power of I by h bar in the presence of source. So this is from minus infinity to plus infinity, L to T dot plus JP. And remember that we have taken this limit and this limit. So this is your generating functional or vacuum functional. Because in the earlier lecture we have seen that this kind of object has the ability to generate the correlation functions, to generate the various endpoint functions. And we shall calculate the endpoint functions for a particular theory very soon from this generating functional. So this is your generating functional. What is the physical meaning of that? It is basically the ground state expectation value of this transition amplitude, and we will see as we proceed further that this generating functional basically generates all the endpoint functions of the theory. So this is what we are doing in quantum mechanics. When we shall do quantum field theory in the next semester, all this formalism that we are learning now in this course, we can just carry over this formalism to field theory. There also we will write down a generating functional which generates the various endpoint functions or Green's functions for a field theory. And this is the generating functional in the presence of a source. So you can see that if you put Z0 over here, then this term will go out. So Z0 is basically this expression without the J. I will just pause for 2 minutes here. And today what I will do is, I will not start calculating Zj uh, for a particular theory. Today I will not do that, but I will show an alternative way of doing this calculation. I will show you some alternative manipulations, alternative way in which you can arrive at the same result. You manipulate things in a little bit different way, not very different. The main philosophy is the same, but a little bit different. You could have done it in a little bit different way also, not much different. We shall do it now. And come at the same expression for this. So our starting point will be this expression. This will be our expression, starting point. So let us do that today and see how can we manipulate things in a slightly different way. This will just give us a practice. This is just for your practice of manipulating things in a slightly different way. So let us again look at this expression. Let us look at this expression. The transition amplitude in the presence of a source J. Okay. And we wrote down an expression for this. Now, you see that this expression, if you forget about this, is some constant. Forget about that for the time being. So you see that you can express, you can write the same expression as, I'm no longer writing down the Finnish boundary conditions, it's the same. So you can write this expression as e to the power of I by h bar integral t to t prime j this can be really broken up because all these are numbers, so exponential you can write anywhere, these are not operators. And this is prime L. This is what we have. But if you remember our earlier results that we have established in a couple of classes back, you recall those expressions, you immediately see that you can write this expression as q prime t prime to the power . So this source is still a number. So you can write this as a matrix element. Because of the results that we have established in the earlier lectures. Okay. So this is the thing that I was mentioning a couple of minutes back. That is modified, you just manipulate these expressions in a slightly different approach now. we were in the path integral approach, but now we have again come back to the operator approach and written the path integral as some matrix element. So this is the Hilbert space representation now. And now the subsequent manipulations are similar to those that we have already carried out. We just insert energy eigenstates, complete set of energy eigenstates. So if you do that, then what you will get is the following. I have a summation over n, summation over n. So we have this thing, and then we have this operator JT, but Q hat T, so Q is now an operator, and then is an alternative way of doing the same calculation. So this is what we have, and this is very simple to see what it is. I just rub this portion out. Also this line out. So this is equal to, you can, this is in the Heisenberg representation. You can go to the Schrodinger representation. Therefore, you will be able to write it down as Q prime n, and you will have an exponential Hamiltonian operator e to the power of I by h bar h hat t prime acting on kth. So that will give you the eigenvalue En. Okay, so I will write it at the last. So you have this, then you have n e to the power of minus I by h bar e to t prime dt dt 2 hat c. Then we have n, and then we have, so this will give us n to the q. Here also we do the same manipulation, going from the Heisenberg representation to the Schrodinger representation, and that will give us the eigenvalues. The eigenvalues will be, here it will be plus, so it will be En Q1 minus capital T. Just a minute. Sorry for the interruption. So let us come back. So we stopped at this point. So this is the factor that we get outside. Now this nq prime, you can write it down as inq prime. And similarly, nq, you can write it down as n star of q. So we remove these factors. Okay. So this is the expression that we have. Now you do the same trick. T prime going to infinity e to the power minus I delta, and t going to minus infinity e to the power minus I delta, with delta less than or equal to pi by 2. So this trick is being done to isolate the ground state. So physically what you are doing, you are rotating the time axis and nothing else, and taking this limit. If you do that, what will happen? Only the n is equal to 0 thing will survive. So we will have phi naught q prime star q, and this will become 0 to the power of. Okay, before that, okay, let me just do it over here. I'll do one more thing. Before taking the limit, I'll do one more thing. Just a minute. We have this expression. We have not taken the limit yet, but we'll do one, just a intermediate step. What we shall say is that Jp is equal to 0 for mod t greater than tau. Jt is 0 for mod t greater than tau. So what does this mean? This means that for t greater than tau, and t less than minus tau. So Jt is 0. So only in the intermediate region Jt is non-zero. From minus tau to tau prime. So I can replace this as minus this to this. This is the intermediate step that I want to do. And now I take this limit. I take this limit, and also, so if you take this limit, what will happen is this will be equal to, or I can write it down in this step itself. This will go away. This will become 0. This will become 0. This will become 0. This will become 0. So this is the ground state, and this will obviously become 0 because of this limit. And this integral limit is from minus tau to plus tau. That is what we have because of this condition, physical condition that we have imposed. Therefore, now again, once again, we have the following expression. You see that we can write this as this. This thing is basically equal to this object with the limits of t prime and t. So this is t prime, t prime, is t divided by all these factors. You see that we again have similar expression that we have derived earlier. So we have this thing in the denominator. Then e to the power of I by h bar is equal to that is what we have. We call the left hand side, this we just call it to be 0, 0, j. And we do one more thing, we take limit tau goes to infinity. So if we do that, this thing becomes this. So again you can see that this is some sort of an expectation value of this operator in the ground state. And that thing is basically equal to this. What we are doing is nothing new than what we have already done. But this is a different way of manipulating things in the path integral approach. I could have given it to you as a problem. I could have asked you to calculate this kind of object. To calculate, I give you this operator and ask you to calculate the expectation value of this in the ground state. I can give you it as a problem. So this, when you try to do these problems, you have to know how you really manipulate things in this language. That is it. So these manipulations, you should also learn the ways in which things are manipulated here. Because they will become very handy when you do quantum field theory. The manipulations will be very similar. have is this expression that we have, the ground state expectation value of this operator, is basically equal to that transition amplitude in the presence of the source, right? Q prime, T prime, QT in the presence of source with T prime and T, the limits that we have imposed on T prime, that we have taken on T prime and capital T. Okay? But Q prime, T prime, as we know that we have a path integral expression for that, a path integral representation for that. So this ground state expectation value is basically equal to that path integral expression. And our claim is that this expression will basically generate the various endpoint functions. So this is basically the Zj that you have. And this is in the operator language. You can now translate this back to the path integral language. And this is, I can give it to you as a problem. You can try this problem at home. But if you want, I can do it on the board also. So if I give you, suppose I give you an object like this and ask you to calculate, translate this expression to the path integral language, then you should be able to do it. You want to find the path integral formula or path integral representation for this, you should be able to do it. Maybe I think I will not do it on the board. I just leave it to you to write this object in the path integral language. I leave it to you. I can tell you the final answer. What you will get is, once again, you will get the transition amplitude, the expectation value of the transition amplitude in the ground state. You can rewrite this and get it. So maybe I will just keep this as an exercise. If you are unable to do this, then I shall do it in the next class.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I will just maybe take a couple of questions now and stop for today. So
Sir, which book should we follow for this part?
see, as I mentioned at the beginning of this course, that the best book to follow is for path integral in quantum mechanics is Feynman and Gibbs. Okay, so that is the best place to read up about path integral formulation in quantum mechanics. And there are several other books you can just find it out yourself, because you can just give a Google search. There are very nice books. For example, one of the a very simple book for undergraduate at the undergraduate level is the book on quantum field theory by Ryder. This is a nice book. You can also it is mainly a book for quantum field theory, but you will have the quantum mechanical formulation also in that book. You can read up that book, and you can also get these things in other books which discusses path integrals. For example, Quantum Mechanics by Shankar. You can see R. Shankar, Quantum Mechanics, and you can also see Path Integrals by Ashok Das. So you can see that book. These are two references. So I gave you three references rather: Ryder, Shankar, R. Shankar, Quantum Mechanics, and Ashok Das, Path Integrals. You can have a look at it. And the best reference, by the way, is Feynman and Gibbs. You can look up there. And
Sir, Ashok Das's quantum mechanics book.
Not quantum mechanics book. There is another book. It's called book on path integrals. So you can have a look at that book. So that is also a very nice book. And you can look up if you want to. What else? I think this is sufficient reference. This is sufficient reference. So whatever I've been discussing so far is, you can get this material in these books. So you can follow these books. And nowadays there are several lecture notes in the internet available on on path integral formulation in quantum mechanics. So you just give a Google search, you will get maybe 100 references. So getting references is not these are very standard things, right? So you will get it anywhere. These are very standard formalism that I am discussing with you. So you will get these things in many books and many lecture notes also, review articles, lecture notes. But I think the best place to study about path integrals is the book by Feynman and Gibbs. I would recommend that book strongly.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I cannot visit your or watch your video lectures recorded.
Okay.
Sir, it shows the access denied.
See, what you can do is, see, I have I have given the access, but I don't know why somehow it is not working. But I always give the links to Shoham. So what Shoham can do, Shoham, you can download that thing, the video.
Sir, I can only download lecture 6. The others, you have to give me permission. I have done it for lecture 6, but the other lectures I couldn't download.
You could not download.
No, sir, only lecture 6 I can download. Others are saying access denied. I need permission.
But see, lecture 6 means the last
I
previous
mean,
lecture.
I mean, only sir, the lecture 6 that you have sent the lecture 6 link twice. The second link, from the second link I can download it, not from the first link also. I don't know what is happening.
See, regarding this thing, this is not a big problem because you can see the videos. But once you come back and join SNGO Center, so you can take the videos from me because I am downloading the videos. But the problem is that the size of these files are very large. Therefore, I cannot send it to you by email. So once you come, I will just hand it over to you, and you can just see the videos and see.
Sir, if you just allow me to download the other
But
files,
I,
I mean,
but I have done that. I have done that. I don't know why you
sir,
cannot do
sir,
it.
then there is some technical problem.
Watch also.
I cannot help because I have done it. I have
Sir,
done it.
sir, there is another way. Can you share the shared drive link?
See,
That
today
will help.
the IPSD2 Gmail address, today itself I have sent the access, I have given the access to that. I've shared the file, one of the files to that address. Today itself, I've done it.
Yes, sir. 6 and 7 are working.
Okay,
But
okay, I will just try to see about the earlier lectures also, if I can do it, and send it to your IPSD2 address. Okay?
okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
some technical issues will.
Yeah, I think so, there is this. It is a some sort of a technical issue that can be resolved.
Yes,
So please don't worry about it. That can be resolved.
yes.
Okay. So let us stop for today.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, sir.